Hey everybody, Mary Brown here, aka Pterodactyl. Welcome to the Pterodactyl Experience channel. Today I want to share with you a review of the Steele Wizard Tarot by Pamela Steele out from Red Feather MBS. This deck came out, some months ago. I would have loved to have done it sooner than now, this review, but I did do a walkthrough on the channel, a short video that you can find on the shorts tab, and that shows all the cards. So I'm not going to go through every single card today, but I did want to talk about some things that I find really wonderful and really unique about this deck. Um, First of all, we can talk about the packaging of it. Of course, it's got a nice magnetic lift top box here. A lot of place to store your cards in. Comes with a really great and substantial guidebook here. And I mean, the book itself, I could do a whole video just on that. This book is really worth it. This isn't just a bunch of keywords and just meanings of the cards, but Pamela really shares her wisdom in this, and she gives you such useful information. In the back, you have a table there of the Elder Futhark runes. She includes runes in the artwork of her cards. And so if you're not familiar with them, it's great to have that table, just handy, accessible right there. Who knows? This could be a deck that really turns you onto runes and you start doing rune readings too. I think Pamela would love it if that happened. But, anyways, the front of the book, there's a really beautifully written foreword by Christine Payne Taller. I mean, beautifully written. I didn't even realize she was such a great writer until I read the foreword to Pam's guidebook here. So I'm going to check out more of her work as well. Pam gets us started right away with tarot ethics. I love that. I do. That's something that people don't talk about enough. Basic things that, readers should consider. Like, hey, guess what? We're not here to make decisions for our clients. They have free will. Those basic things that people don't seem to talk about very much anymore. And it's kind of a shame that they don't. So Pam starts us off with that, goes into what is the tarot, talks about tarot myths and tarot truths, and which is really great too, because some of those old tarot myths are still floating around out there. Even new readers will come up to me and we'll be talking about different things about tarot, and they'll say like, well, I had to wait for somebody to give me a deck because otherwise the cards wouldn't work. I'm like, how is this still around? I don't know, but I'm glad that Pam covers that and dispenses with that kind of nonsense right away. Um, and, one of my favorite things about this book is that she has a whole, like, two full pages, like that page, and that page, like 2.5 pages of recurrences. What? Huh? Who? What? Recurrences? Huh? You know, Nobody talks about recurrences. And yet, as readers, we experience them all the time. How many times have you done like a 5 card reading and you have 3 aces that come up? Well, you can talk about each of those individual aces. And of course, it's an answer to the question that was asked, right? But what does it mean, right? When three of the same card or two of the same card, when it repeats like that, if it's 3 4s, where the numbers repeat, or the you know particular court card repeats, what does it mean? Well, there's a lot of interesting things that could mean. The ones that she gives here are really terrific. I have these little note cards I made, I don't know, really, really long time ago. And, my meanings are a little bit different, but man, it's so helpful to like consider that, to come up with meanings for it when it happens, because it happens a lot, So that's something I haven't seen in a guidebook in, I don't, I don't know, a really long time, years actually. Now, granted, I haven't seen everything that's been published. That's okay. I don't need to. I know that it's not very common, and I love that she included it. Um, you know, the meanings for the cards are great. And for the major arcana, it's like two full pages. You have a place where you can write notes as well. There's a little meditation at the end. For the minors, there is about 2 pages too. And you get these color scans of the cards. It's just nice to see. You get about a page and a half for the minors. She also has several spreads that she included in this, an extended Celtic cross spread, but other spreads too that are really useful, not just to do readings for other people, but for yourself as well, like a clearing your path spread or a looking within spread on this side. They're just really useful. They're well thought out. This whole book is just chock full of wisdom, really put together, goes beyond just simple card meanings. Um, it's all substance and no filler, kind of like Pamela Steele herself. So the book is really, worth it just for that. But the cards, that's what we're here for, right? The cards are gorgeous. Um, and, basic things. Okay, so there's the back design. It's really like gets the job done. It's clean, simple design. I love elaborate back designs as well, but sometimes, it's like, yeah, just make it so I can use it, right? And, reversible. That's important to a lot of people out there. You don't want to have a sense of if a card is upside down or not before you even flip it over, right? Kind of, I don't know. It feels like it detracts for me, and I'm sure for a lot of other people too. And the other thing is, this is not a Rider Waite Smith clone, okay? If you like Rider Waite Smith cards, which I do, you can still, you don't have to learn a new system or anything, but there are a few new cards that you need to learn about because she goes beyond just having 78 cards. One of the things that I really like, and why I say it's not a clone, is because she used like different ideas and concepts in the way that she depicted the cards. And I feel like, personally, I feel like a lot of what she's done here really, really gets the meaning of the tarot card across better than the traditional. Okay, I'm saying it, yes. Like for example, and just the ideas I really like the Fool card. We can just That's a logical place to start. If you look at the Fool card in Pam's deck, it's not like a guy that's just about to jump off a cliff. They're like looking forward to the journey ahead. To me, that gives me more of an idea of, something I can relate to. Very rarely do I find myself in a situation where it's like, am I going to jump off this cliff or not? So that's just a fantastic thing. To me, it shows like a kind of a sense of fearlessness, really, because I can't tell you how many um, over the years deck creators that I've talked to that are, oh, especially if like it's their first deck that they're doing, you know, sometimes they're a little bit nervous about getting it right, and what they're trying to make is like a Rider Waite Smith clone, where maybe it's their artwork, maybe they're an animal deck, maybe it's unicorns, whatever. In fact, I have 2 unicorns that just are Rider Waite Smith clones. It's weird. Same body positions, everything. They just put in their thing instead. She doesn't do that. She had the nerve to say, like, here's what I think this card shows. And so she does that with the Fool. She does it with most of them. Another example is like the High Priestess. She's in the water. She's not just so remote and just sitting there, with the veil behind her and all of that. The card I really love, I mean, I love so many of these, I love them all, is the Empress card. And I could tell you, having been a person that gave birth twice, I had more days when I was pregnant that I felt like that than than I felt like, the traditional empress that we're used to with her pomegranates on her dress or whatever. I never had a moment when I had a gown with pomegranates on it when I was pregnant. But yeah, that expression, oh yeah, I remember that. And another thing that I really like about the artwork is how she depicts the human body, you know? Because, we're used to seeing some nudity in tarot, right? You know? And, some people, meh, they have people have different feelings about it. Sometimes the only time it's ever been a problem for me is like if I'm doing like a psychic fair or public reading or something and there's families milling around, or it's a conservative community or something and people aren't comfortable with the human body, then sometimes it's not so helpful. But no matter what, you know uh I don't want like gratuitous, like ridiculous, like nudity where it doesn't even look like real people. It looks like it's all made for a 14-year-old boy or something to get his jollies off of. Look, nothing against 14-year-old boys, but I find that distracting. And in Pamela's deck, just how she is as an artist, it's so much more relatable to me. Like, look at her lover's card, right? Those look like real people's butts, right? Those look like real people to me. And I find that, just great, just really great, because generally I'm reading for real people, and when I'm doing readings for myself, I'm thinking about real people. I'm not thinking about some weird fantasy version of a woman or something. I'm going to see real women because I'm a real woman, right? And it is International Women's Day. So I think it's okay to talk about these things, right? And this has a strong feminine vibe to me too, this deck. Um, you know, the the 22 major arcana cards that we're used to are in this deck. Okay. We have the Fool through the World card. There are a couple cards that she changed the titles of, not just the artwork, but changed the title of as well. And those, a couple examples of that. Okay. So the dreaded card number 13, the Death card, right? Well, in Pamela's deck, it's transition. Because isn't death really a transition, anyways? You have this sense of like butterfly wings. Like, I feel like she's coming out of a cocoon, and a butterfly is such a wonderful symbol of transformation. That's another thing we think about with the death card. So, calling this card transition, which is actually what she calls it, made a lot of sense to me. Another card that she's renamed too is the other dreaded card, the Devil card. And in this one, he's just like in this thing he can't get out of. You know, um, it's called materialism, is what she's named the card. And it makes a lot of sense to me as well, because so often when we talk about the Devil card, we're talking about attachments, right? Or, things that, kind of are like an obstacle, that we can't get out of, that we don't have control over. So that made a lot of sense to me. It's the Steel Wizard Tarot, so there's a lot of dragons in it. So there's the Tower card. And I like this Tower so much, but I like dragons a lot too. So the imagery, even in the majors, is different. But at the same time, you know, shout out to the, tradition and stuff. Like in the Star card, we see those vessels of water. The Moon card, you know, the Sun card is another one of my favorites because it has a Pegasus, and look at, I got a Pegasus too. I like Pegasus, so I had this little statue. But I love the ideas that she came up with, things that are really kind of, you know, shout out to what we're used to seeing, to tradition, but also putting her own spin on it and giving us a different way of connecting to the meanings of the cards, right? Isn't that what, it's all about? Isn't that what we're looking for? We're looking for meaningful imagery when we look at tarot decks, aren't we? I am. So, all the way from the Fool to the World, and then she takes us a little bit further with more cards. And as she describes it in the guidebook, it's like getting beyond the duality and into the realm of pure spirit. And so we go from the World card to the Weaver. And we go from the Weaver to the Universe, which is the same image you see depicted on the box and on the guidebook as well. And it's just a gorgeous image, isn't it? I love that. And then from there, the truth. Looking in the mirror is the truth. How many of us do that every day, right? And from there, soul twins. And from there, a card I've really related to a lot recently, evolution. And I love how you see in the artwork the person sort of evolving into, it looks like they're evolving into a light being. So again, that idea of connecting to getting beyond the duality that we see in the usual Fool through the World card, Major Arcana, into the realm of pure spirit. And where do you go at the end here? Card 27, I am, connecting us to all that there is. And I love the Merkaba crystal at the center of it and those beautiful colors around it. Not only, and let me see where I put these lovely ladies, not only did she expand the major arcana, but she expanded the court cards as well. So we're used to seeing our page and our knight and our queen and our king, and they're all in there in all four suits. But she also gives us four more court cards, the maidens. And the maidens, she says in the guidebook, are about that untapped potential of each of the suits. And she has a little affirmation for each one of these maidens. Um, the Maiden of Cups, I feel. The Maiden of Wands, I believe. And it's great because, the Cups cards, I feel. Well, we think of Cups as connected to emotions. Like that's a suit of emotions. It's a cup suit. So to feel, yeah, the wands, where we're taking action, belief sometimes it takes us, in spirit connected to the wands too. So we've got to believe sometimes in order to take action, don't we? And then we have the Maiden of Swords, and we have the Maiden of Pentacles, which is my favorite. The Maiden of Swords, I think, because swords are connected to our thoughts and our ideas, and I can with the Maiden of Pentacles. It was funny when I was going through this, I thought, and I was going through these last two maidens earlier, and I thought, oh, it's like the little engine that could, with these two cards. I think I can. I think I can. So I love that she's added that, given us something extra. And, you know, the concepts in the artwork are just wonderful. And I think, you know, you can get the deck and see for yourself how you feel about it. But I feel like it makes the meanings come through so much easier, that they're more accessible with the way that she has depicted them. A good example of this is the Five of Cups in the traditional Rider Waite Smith. And this is actually from the what is this? Yeah, the Smith Waite Tarot Deck Centennial Edition that came out some years ago from U.S. Games. I love the traditional Rider Waite Smith imagery, and I love a lot of Rider Waite Smith clones out there too. But the way Pam depicts the Five of Cups, compare that. Like this guy, okay, he doesn't, we can guess he's not too happy, I guess, with his body language. He's wearing the black cloak, if we know the symbolism of that, okay. Who really even talks about that anymore? Hardly anyone I ever hear on TikTok or YouTube. Um, but when you look at this, you don't need a bunch of symbolism. It's all told right there in the imagery with the body language, with just having that feeling. We've all had that feeling of like, ugh, being like slumped over. We just want to like lay our head down. And, you still have the 2 cups knocked over. You have the 3 cups still upstanding over there that he's not looking at, so those ideas that we have learned or acquired over time about the 5 of cups, they're all right there. But I think it's more accessible in the way Pam does it than the old traditional way of doing it. And especially for new readers, because a lot of us, we've been doing this a while, years even. And so we've memorized it, or we're so used to seeing the imagery, we don't even think about it anymore. We look at the card, we know what it means. Um, but that's not the case for everybody. That's not the case, especially for new readers. And sometimes they have a hard time with the old traditional imagery. They can't relate to it. And so even though this is a third edition of the Steele Wizard Tarot, um, I think the ideas are still just as fresh as the first edition. And, you know, man, is it, with those extra cards, as some people have asked me, is it difficult to shuffle? You know, when I hold the whole deck, you know, this is how big it is. There are 78 card decks out there that I have that either the cardstock is too stiff or it's too thick, and they're just as big as this, if not bigger, right? But this I found really pretty easy to shuffle. And why? Because of the flexibility. Because look, it's good cardstock, but it's also flexible, right? And yeah, it's all laminated, but it's not like sticky where they stick together and you stumble and you bend the cards and all of that. So this is really well done. It's really great to see, just this packaged so well, produced so well by Red Feather. And I'm so glad that I have this deck. I hope that you'll check it out and see for yourself and enjoy it as much as I've been enjoying it. Big shout out to Pamela Steele, and congratulations, even though it's a little belated. It took me a few months to get to it, but congratulations on the publication of the third edition of your deck. And shout out to Red Feather for doing such a great job as well. Bye for now, everybody. I'll be back on this channel with more deck reviews and more artwork. And I wish you all a great weekend. Bye, everybody.